and welcome to another episode of the Flashback Cartoon Hour. I'm your loving bald host with the most from coast to coast, Nick Trembling Tarantulas Lascola. And joining me today is...
And Andrew Loosely Spider-Based Pun Napier.
Beautiful, beautiful name. Just rolls right off the tongue. That should be your superhero name.
Yeah.
I think that should be your superhero name.
Yeah, Andrew Loosely Based Spider Pun Napier, yeah.
And today we are covering Spider-Woman, the 1979 series.
Look! Up on the building! It's Spider-Woman!
And this is Jessica Drew, who as a child, while visiting her father's laboratory, was bitten by a poisonous spider. Forced to try an untested spider serum, Dr. Drew not only saved his daughter's life, but unknowingly gave her incredible spider-like powers. Dedicated to fighting evil while weaving the web of justice, it's Spider-Woman.
And let's get right into it. Spider-Woman is an American animated television series which ran on the ABC network from September 22nd, 1979 to January 5th, 1980 for a total of 1 season and 16 episodes. Each episode had a runtime of 30 minutes. The series was produced by DePatie Freeling Enterprises and Marvel Comics Animation, both owned by Marvel Entertainment.
Spider-Woman was based off of the Marvel Comics character of the same name, who had only appeared 2 years before the series premiere. Though the series didn't last long, it went down in history as making Spider-Woman the first female Marvel superhero to headline in her own animated series. There are 2 separate appearances of Spider-Man throughout the series. These were in Episode 1's Pyramids of Terror and Episode 7's The Congo Spider. Spider-Man was once again voiced by Paul Soles, who had voiced Spider-Man in the original 1967 television series. Not the one that we did the last episode on.
No. Isn't that a cool little fun fact? Because it was weird hearing them at first. I'm like, I don't like this. And then I'm like, wait a second. This is like who our parents would think of. Yeah.
That's funny.
When they read Spider-Man, that's probably the voice that they heard the most.
I don't think I've heard that voice other than these 2 episodes. And I don't know that I saw the Congo Spider.
It wasn't that good. It was like some evil movie director was trying to film a movie by like releasing an actual giant spider. I forget if it was a robot or not, but like I think it was a robot, and he was trying to film Spider-Man and Spider-Woman teaming up to take it down for like the ultimate movie.
That's a bit that's been done so many times in Marvel Comics, and I love it every time. There was a point when like Green Goblin owned a movie studio or something like that.
I wouldn't doubt it, dude.
Yeah, he went and bought one as part of a plot, and then like hired the Wrecking Crew or some shit.
Yeah, they would be who you would hire for that.
Who are the ones with like Fancy Dan in them? What's that guy's name?
I don't remember. I've never heard of Fancy Dan.
You've never heard of Fancy Dan?
No.
In Montana?
Is he fancy?
He's super fancy.
Okay, I'd be upset if there's not a monocle on him.
Now I'm Googling.
Yeah, please do. If there's not a monocle on him, guys, I'm going to be pissed. I'm expecting a monocle.
The Enforcers. You've never heard of the Enforcers?
The Enforcers sounds familiar.
Showing Nicola's pictures now.
Oh, they just look like mobsters.
Yeah, Montana. They're all like vaguely cowboy themed though. Montana's the big one. Fancy Dan's the small one, and he does like rope tricks. Like literally, that's his whole bit.
I'm Fancy Dan,
and I forget who the other one is, but they're all like vaguely cowboy themed gangsters, and they
would start off
hired
as
by
Spider-Man.
Green Goblin, and faced and literally they tie the Hulk in somehow because they go out to the Southwest to film this movie that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
it's absolute hysterical. That's That's issue 10 of Spider-Man.
Okay.
The other episode that featured Spider-Man that we just mentioned was Pyramids of Terror, which is in my top 3. Stay tuned to hear the rest of my top 3.
Yeah, we'll go into those. I can't wait. I'm excited.
Faithful listener. I don't know. What do you call your fans, Nicholas?
Baldites.
I prefer Baldonians.
I like that one a lot. My Baldonians, join me, your loving bald host.
Just sounds too much like ball.
Don't take it to weird
It's
places,
too
all
heavy
right?
on the ball.
Leave it alone. Okay, so as stated in the series intro, young Jessica Drew was bitten by a poisonous spider while visiting her father's lab. To try and save her life, Dr. Drew gave her spider serum number 34. This saved Jessica's life, but also gave her the ability to stick to walls, fly, and to shoot both web and electrical venom blasts from her hands, specifically her fingers. She also exhibits a spider sense that works like strange visions, almost like a That's So Raven type thing.
It's impressive.
That's
extent
so
of her.
Jessica, it's the future I can see.
Stop now, please.
So her spider sense that works like strange visions that alert her to dangers both near and far. Now, an adult, Jessica runs Justice Magazine as the editor, using her unique powers to allow her to constantly get ahead of the next big scoop. She is joined on her adventures by one of Justice Magazine's photographers, the cowardly braggart Jeff Hunt, and also by her teenage nephew, Billy Drew. When trouble arrives, Jessica always slips away from the other two and transforms into her Spider-Woman costume by spinning around in a circle at lightning fast speed. Very much ripping off the transformation that Linda Carter does when transforming into Wonder Woman during the 1975 live-action series. Because that's exactly how she spins around really fast and goes from Linda Carter to... Linda Carter's the actress.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Linda Carter's the
you're
actress.
confusing me.
Sorry.
Especially because there's Peggy Carter. I'm
Yeah,
like, wait, what's going on?
Diana Prince, I should say. She plays Diana Prince.
Yes. Diana Prince?
Isn't that her last name? I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
No.
It's not Diana Ross.
No.
Like Betsy Ross? No, that's a black female singer. Now I remember.
Yeah. Is it all coming back to you?
Yes, it is. I don't know. I didn't know that was her last name, though. All right, weird tangent over. Can I actually make two comments before we continue that? I love that it's Spider Serum number 34.
Mm-hmm.
I'm genuinely curious to hear about Spider Serums number 1 through 33.
Yeah.
Clearly, they were not ready for the world. But
No.
Spider Serum is definitely what you want to give to a dying child, too.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
To save her life.
And I desperately want to see the Spider Girl series. That is her before growing up. They start her
the
origin story
prequel
and she's
series
like
that they
12.
should have created.
Yeah, like they start the origin story and she's like 12, and then they just fast forward and it's like, all right, she's 35. Okay.
Yeah. Runs the Justice magazine too. She just like worked her way up. We don't find any of that background.
Evidently.
Well, that's what we need, Andrew. Let's get on it. The prequel series. But we'll specifically make it in the same art style as this series.
Oh hell yeah, it's beautiful.
Very stiff, but still beautiful.
It's very choppy.
Yeah,
It
it reminds me a lot actually of the Godzilla Hanna-Barbera series.
Oh really?
Yeah, acts very much like it. Billy reminds me of the main kid that's like friends with Godzuki.
Sure.
And
that makes me want to watch that series now.
Oh.
Is it just as ridiculous?
Yeah. Just picture giant monster fights at the end of every episode.
Fair enough. All
It's
right.
like the same shit, but like just a giant monster fight added in.
Yeah. Ow.
It's Godzilla. So like Godzuki,
How does it follow any of the? I don't know.
I don't want to go too into Godzilla, but real quick, it follows the way that
But
there's
if I
like
did,
a
it
research.
sounded a little bit like
There's a
this.
research team, and they the like nephew of one of the doctors is best friends with Godzilla's son, Godzuki. They get into trouble every episode where they have to fight a giant monster, and they have either a signal caller to call Godzilla, or if that like shuts down by some way during the like whatever the villain does, Godzuki can do a loud cry that Godzilla can hear at any point in the world and comes running.
He's the best father ever.
Yeah.
Everyone knows Godzilla is a perfect father.
But like my whole point was that the animation here reminds me a lot of that series, and when we cover it, you'll see.
But like, are you saying also like the types of stories?
Very similar. Very similar.
That's it. The writing style in general.
Oh,
It's
yeah. I mean,
this
think-
is all over the place.
Think about
ridiculous.
this. She drank a serum, number 34, but like every other villain in the series is she's fighting an alien.
Yeah.
Like every episode
Yeah.
is a new alien.
No,
And then
yeah,
they're like,
that's
oh,
absolutely.
and here's the Kingpin.
Yeah,
and
it's
another
hysterical.
alien.
And now there's Dormammu, but he's like all fucking horrible.
Yeah, we'll go into it.
All right, yeah. During the series run, only 2 established Marvel villains make an appearance, as we were just saying, with all other villains being original characters for the show, and most of them are aliens. These 2 villains include the Kingpin and Dormammu. The Kingpin has already debuted on television in the previous Spider-Man series, but the Spider-Woman series gets the bragging rights of being Dormammu's first ever appearance on screen. Although I don't know if you'd want to brag about it. We couldn't find anything on the voice actor of Dormammu, but fun fact, the Kingpin's voice was John Milford, who played Professor Dent in the live-action 1981 American superhero film Spider-Man: The Dragon's Challenge.
Spider-Man teams up with Bruce Lee.
Oh, really?
No.
Who is it?
I don't know. I think it is like a Japanese, more like a kung fu type movie.
No, I'm Googling that. I want to see a picture. Oh, yeah, this one I've seen. I haven't seen. I didn't know that was the name of it, but I've seen pictures from this a million times. That's hysterical. It was a theatrical release abroad and was a composite of the 1979 two-parter episode The Chinese Web of the contemporary television series The Amazing Spider-Man, released on May 9th, 1981. So they released it as a two-parter.
And
In
then
that series?
combined it
Okay.
as like a little mini movie type
Sure.
thing.
The Chinese Web. Pretty sure it was a Japanese-made movie. I thought it was at least. Maybe I'm the one
You
being
thought
racist.
wrong.
No, I think they may have just misnamed it. No, maybe it is. Who knows?
Jessica's origin was also modified for the show with a few notable changes. In the comics, a young Jessica moves to a lab built by her father in the High Evolutionary near Mount Wondagore in Transia, where she becomes gravely ill from months of uranium exposure. To save her life, her father injects her with an experimental serum based on irradiated. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Irradiated spider's blood. Because the serum requires a month's incubation, the High Evolutionary places her in a genetic accelerator shortly after her mother dies and her father leaves for the United States, leaving the High Evolutionary to care for her. While in the accelerator, she ages at a decelerated rate, and she is finally released decades later. Jessica is still physically only 17.
Another change that they made is it was originally called Serum 32.
Is that a true fact?
No.
God damn it, dude. You're going to confuse him.
You want me to go into the voice actors?
Yes, please.
All right. Jessica Drew, Spider-Woman, is voiced by Joan Van Ark. Her name is actually Joan of Arc in Dutch. Isn't that cool?
That's a cool fact, isn't it? You're learning.
So apparently Van means of in Dutch, if we're following along. While not having much to her voice casting list other than a bunch of one-off characters in the series Curious George, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Dumb and Dumber the Animated Series, and Thundar the Barbarian, which is a Marvel series.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure Steve Gerber wrote it.
Steve Gerber was the creator of Thundar, so that's awesome.
Right, yep.
I believe the first appearance of him was also in the same series that had the first appearance of Howard.
What, Thundar?
No, it was all in Man-Thing.
Thundar?
Yeah.
Oh,
Pretty sure
yeah.
Thundar's first appearance was in
Wow.
Or maybe it was no, it's never mind. I just said wrong things.
You're probably thinking of Khazar, the jungle dude.
No, it's Wondar is who I'm thinking of. Too many ARR guys. Okay, anyway. She did, however, voice Moray in Manta and Moray segments of Tarzan and the Super 7. Have you heard of this?
I did. I went and looked it up. It's basically like Tarzan and the Super 7's Aquaman series.
What?
Yeah.
How does what you said clarify anything that I read?
So picture like they created their own superheroes to make like their own little Justice League starring Tarzan. And one of the heroes, well, they have like different hero segments. I don't know if they actually meet each other.
That's really weird.
Yeah, this is basically like Aquaman and his sidekick, but it's not. It's Manta or whatever his name is.
Okay. Joan, however, did have several big roles in a few different soap opera series. She played Gloria Simmons Adams in 55 episodes of The Young and the Restless. She played Valine Ewing in 327 episode.
That's a lot.
And she played Janine Whitney for 12 episodes in Days of Our Lives, starring Joey Tribbiani. One last credit we have to give to Joan is she actually appeared on one episode in the 1978 live-action Wonder Woman series as Cassandra Lauren. Fitting, counting how much Spider-Woman kind of riffs on Wonder Woman.
Which is a lot. Well, we'll go into more of that in a little bit.
If you're wondering why you thought you recognized her voice, it's because she's... I don't know how to tie that joke in.
Okay.
I had a joke about her because I looked into her IMDb wondering where she came from, and I was like, I have seen like a few episodes of every show she's ever been in, but she's only been in all those shows for like 2 episodes.
Yeah. So when I was looking through her stuff, this was like the most that I could find. Was like her consistently in shows. Everything else was like 1 episode, 2 episodes.
Oh, is this what you're gonna go into with? Oh no, that's Brian Scott, the next guy. Because it was like every single big show from the 60s and 70s, she was in like 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah. I tried to find like the ones that they did the most of.
Yeah.
I'll go into the next one. Jessica's nephew, Billy Drew, voiced by Brian Scott, another actor with not much for voiceover roles, but he did end up voicing the title role of Kid Video in its self-titled series for 26 episodes. Other than that, he only really had a few one-off roles in series such as The $6 Million Man, Chips, The Practice, and The Blue Knight. Oh, and Matt Helm.
Justice Magazine's photographer, Jeff Hunt, voiced by Bruce Miller. He literally has 0 other voice acting credits and not much of an acting career. He is credited as animal voices in the movie You Benchany? The hell is that?
It's really... Bro, I had to deep dive
Fair
for
enough.
these.
It's a funny country, according to IMDb. He's had a very successful career as a pop singer. And currently he is a radio broadcaster and producer of radio drama for SAFM in Johannesburg, South Africa. Wow. So he's up to fun things.
I guess he has the most prolific background so far out of all these guys. Next, we have the narrator, voiced by Dick Tuffelt, who is
mention this guy. Sorry.
who is most known as the voice of the announcer and the robot in the 1965 series Lost in Space. He would again voice the robot in 1998's reboot movie Lost in Space, starring Matt LeBlanc, Dr. Drake Ramore from Friends.
No, from Days of Our Lives.
From Days of Our Lives. Dick has many voice roles, but all credited as narrator or announcer. Other than these include the announcer on The Super Friends in the 1984 series for 8 episodes, the opening announcer on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends for 18 episodes, the narrator for 3 episodes on Thundar the Barbarian, and the opening narrator for 13 episodes of the 1978 series The Fantastic Four, the one with the robot Herbie instead of Johnny Storm. I actually want to address that because I did misspeak in our last Spider-Man themed episode. I said it was the 60s series, the 60s series where they replaced Johnny Storm, and it is not. It's the 70s series.
We're going to have to watch this one next because this is 78. We're going backwards, apparently.
Yeah. Why not? In the way back machine.
Yeah.
We stole it, remember?
Yes. I just have to point out how awesome of an announcer he is. He's just absolutely great. Every time when we were doing the Spider-Man series, when he would come on the intro and Spider-Man,
Yeah,
I can't. I
he
love
did
it.
really good. And when we played in the previous episode, you guys should go check out that episode, our Spider-Man 1981 episode of the Flashback Cartoon Hour. You can find us on all podcast-related platforms.
Did we mention we're a podcast?
We are a podcast, and we're doing really well on Facebook.
Ooh.
Really well, almost up to 3,000.
Oh, I thought you meant like 3 followers.
Yeah, we have 3 followers.
Me and you are 2.
And Tony's the third.
There we go. Santi hasn't followed us yet? Like, come on.
No, he's too cool. So at this point, I figured we could rate the series on a letter scale of F to A+, and I'm going to let you go first.
Honest answer.
Honesty.
A-.
I
loved it.
I think you gave Spider-Man 1981 an A- too, if I remember
really?
correct. You gave it a high number.
I thought I gave it like a B.
Jesus, high number, high letter.
Well, I'm going to make it a B then.
Yeah.
And then this one's an A-.
Okay.
Because I really liked this one. I can't, in good faith, give it an A because it's not like a good. I keep wanting to call it a comic book.
Yeah.
It's not a
Might
good
as well be.
television show, but it is a entertaining as hell television show.
Yeah. It's like so far out
Yeah.
and weird and kooky
Yes.
that it becomes enjoyable. I'm giving it a C-.
My friend. How could you?
Because there's just some things that I couldn't get past. The animation was stiff because when you look at the animation from the 1981 series, which I know it's only like 3 years from.
Oh, it's leagues ahead. Though,
yeah, but leagues ahead. And
I wonder why. Like I don't know.
It's the same production company.
Is it feeling
yeah, well, you remember they shut down and they become Marvel, and then Marvel makes the 1981 Spider-Man.
Oh, really? So this is the last thing.
This
they
is
made
the last
before
one. They
became
worked
official
on.
Marvel.
Yeah,
That's
DeFreely and DePadding worked on the 78 Fantastic Four and the 79 series.
Yeah. I think we mentioned this on the last episode. But Jack Kirby worked for them in his like twilight years when he stopped making comic books.
Yeah.
They hired him on as like a consultant to basically be like, if we're doing anything Marvel related, we're gonna ask you questions.
Yeah.
And if we're doing anything related to drawing, then our artists will just like pick your brain whenever they want, and you'll just like tell them how to draw good.
Did you notice that Stan Lee kind of jumped in on this when in the intro to every episode it says Spider-Woman created for television by Stan Lee?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Another thing, I think.
And it doesn't mention Jack at all there?
No, it's
would
right on the title, the
Hates
intro.
him, apparently.
Yeah.
Stan Lee does. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think he does. I think he really genuinely likes him, but I think Stan Lee.
From
is
what I
also
remember,
a
I'm
self-serving
pretty
asshole a lot
sure
of times.
Stan was like, I need to make something
Rest
with
in
the
peace,
with the term Spider-Woman before someone like jumps on that.
I believe that was more a story for She-Hulk, but it was probably the same for Spider-Woman
Yeah,
too.
I think it's
Because
She-Hulk.
the Incredible Hulk was very popular at the time in the like the live action show they did with Lou Ferrigno.
Oh yeah.
So
Do you know
can
he
you believe
still
that
does?
won an Emmy?
Do you know he still does the voice, like the noises of the Hulk?
I'm sure he does it in the mirror every night. Like that must have been the highlight of his life.
And
like,
did you know he's deaf?
Yes.
Okay.
he's he's great in his as himself in the King of Queens.
Oh yeah.
Funniest shit I've ever seen.
I love the King of Queens. I love that. Everybody loves Raymond. But we're getting off topic.
No, we're not.
Spider-Woman.
Yes.
At this point,
She-Hulk.
I wish she. That's another thing that I would say kind of brought this down for me is I feel like Marvel felt that it was strong enough to stand on its own, and I don't think it was.
I don't think they thought it was strong enough to stand on its own. I think they genuinely had licensing issues. That's the only explanation for why there's no Marvel characters.
Yeah.
And it's not even like based in anything that Spider-Woman's ever done.
Yeah.
But it's entertaining as hell.
Yeah, it's so weird because it's so
can't
out
stop
of left
looking at it.
field, and then the fucking powers she pulls out of her
Spider
ass.
telepathy.
Yeah, it's very Super Frenzy type deal when like Superman or Batman just pulls something out of their ass for the plot to win.
Yeah, can I read two from these are from my top two
I was about
episodes.
to
Or
ask
two of
like
my top
we
three.
should go into them.
Okay. Well,
Is
before
there-
I do, I just
okay.
want to mention these two random powers that showed up in two of my episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Spider telepathy, which allows her to mentally communicate with spiders and ask them for assistance, like Ant-Man, but for spiders. They did that in Pyramids of Terror,
Yeah.
the first episode. And like, imagine that's the first episode, straight out the gate with spider telepathy.
And with like floating pyramids, like
Yeah.
they were like, this is how kooky we're gonna be.
Yes.
Either get on board or get the fuck out of our way.
Exactly. And it's so funny the way they do it because like absolutely everything, like she can have any power, and you just put the word spider in front of it.
And
So
it
that's
works.
totally cool.
You can't argue it.
Yeah, no, spider flight.
But yeah,
All spiders fly.
and we talked about that with the 81 series when we were talking about how Spider-Man would be underwater so much, and they're like spider lung capacity. Like,
Oh yeah,
like, it
increased
just-
lung
like,
capacity
it
with
doesn't-
spider. Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't matter.
I remember that.
It ju-
This one has a similar underwater one, but it's even worse. She has a protective spider bubble, allowing her to function underwater without diving gear, as appearing in the Ghost Vikings. Spider bubble. Every spider has a bubble. Of course.
you didn't know that?
It's science, Patrick. I wombo, you
wombo.
wombo.
They spider
The
bubble.
study of wombology. All right, I'm
Fucking
done.
great. Oh, Jesus. Okay, so do you have a specific order that you
I
want
don't
to
have an
do
order.
these? I don't either. So why don't you just go into your first pick?
I'll just do mine in the order they appear in the series. Then that's how I'll pick it.
Yeah, I'll do the same.
Episode 1 is one of my top 3. It's so funny. The Pyramids of Terror. It guest stars Spider-Man. Did I say Spider-Man?
That's Aunt May.
I signed up for something, and I think I've told you my stupid sign up for things sometimes is Poon Man. P-O-O-N, man.
Oh,
It's like a play on Spoon Man, but like
I've seen
even
that
stupider.
on fucking my
Smash Brothers.
Smash
Yeah,
Brothers. I
yeah.
never knew what that came from.
Yeah, that's me. I'm Poon
Okay,
Man.
yeah.
But one time I was going to type it in somewhere, and I put an M in at the end instead, and then I put a password, and I signed up, and now I'm Poon Man on whatever
Poon Man.
platform that was.
That's so funny. It's just so random. It reminds me of like how the Tick randomly yells out spoon.
Yeah, well, you've heard the song Spoon Man, right?
No.
Spoon Man.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I just for no reason when I'm on online chats will just start yelling out Poon Man.
So if you guys see him out on the
Yeah.
chats, just know that's Andrew.
That's me. I'm Poon Man. Anyway. Justice Magazine crew investigate an alien invasion in Egypt led by the mummy Khufu.
Your efforts are futile, Spider-Man. You are no match for my power. Our pyramid ships landed on your Earth thousands of years ago. My fellow crewmen and I were placed in suspended animation until the time our planet was ready to colonize Earth. That time has come. Soon our pyramid fleet will arrive for the final takeover. But first, my crew and I will mummify all Earth inhabitants.
Who is voiced by Vic Perrin. Everybody knows Vic Perrin.
Classic. Everyone knows Vic Perrin.
Yeah.
Your mother's uncle's brother's sister's roommate back in college.
Yeah, so the crazy part about this episode is, like, they don't even mention the part that there's an alien invasion until, like, halfway through. Like, unless I missed something, they're just going there to investigate the mummy. And then halfway through the episode, it switches into, oh, no. This mummy is really an alien. And there's aliens now. And then
Alien mummies.
Yeah, the fucking pyramids lift up and start flying around the earth. And all of a sudden, they literally Earth-wide event that is happening in this episode of Spider-Woman. This is Spider-Woman. It's just the most absolutely ridiculous thing in the world, and I love that they open with this because they're just like, yeah, this is what we're going to be. Total nonsense. You with us? And I say yes, sir.
Yeah.
I am down for more.
It honestly blows my mind, and there's so many different moments like this. So for my first choice, I'm gonna go with episode 3, the Amazon Adventure.
Good choice.
Thank you. Stolen gold from Fort Knox leads the Justice Magazine team into the Amazon. I think this episode is without a doubt a playful nod at DC's Wonder Woman, because not only does Jessica Drew rip off Linda Carter's transformation into Wonder Woman, like we had stated earlier in the episode, but Wonder Woman is in fact an Amazonian. So to have your main lead female superhero come out and beat an entire race of the competitors' quote-unquote people, it just seems to me that Marvel was having a bit of a laugh at DC.
At their direct competition.
Which I can completely respect. If anything, that brought it up to a C for me, because I think was hilarious that in order to sneak into Fort Knox, the Amazonians dress up like female army soldiers just to reveal themselves at the front gate. They do this by stepping out of their trucks and removing a hat and a wig, which they had over their Trojan-like helmets the entire time, which physically makes no sense at all. And I'm going to show you a fucking picture that I have of it.
And he's going to post this on the Facebook page.
So...
Wait, yeah. They have an entire helmet underneath that. That's ridiculous.
And I will post that on the Facebook page. It's just so silly.
They're TARDIS hats, clearly. They're bigger on the inside.
Yeah, they just pulled those on top. They were like, we need these for battle.
Another connection to Doctor Who. It's Time Lord technology.
One of my favorite quotes in the episode is when Jeff sees that Fort Knox is robbed by the Amazonians. He says, "It must be a joke. No one can break into that place, especially ladies." And Jessica says in her head, "I'm not so sure about that, Tarzan."
Wow, look at this! Fort Knox has been robbed!
It must be a joke. Nobody could break into that place, especially not a bunch of ladies.
I'm not so sure about that, Tarzan. My spider sense tells me those lady warriors are very real.
I love the dialogue in this show.
Beautifully.
Sensational spiders.
Trembling tarantulas. That's my thing. That gets me every time. Another great quote is when Spider-Woman is forced to lead a raid with the Amazonians in order to save Jeff's life. So while on the ride to the raid, Jessica asks one of the Amazonians, why doesn't Shayna, who's the leader of the Amazonians, lead the raid herself? To which the Amazonian replies, she has not left the hidden valley since the fall of the Inca. To which Spider-Man then says, but that would make her over 400 years old. Wow, I hope Jeff gets along with older women. And it like... it really like emphasis on the older too when she says it. I'm gonna play the voice. Yeah, I'm gonna play the voice clip right here.
Oh, it's too much.
Why doesn't Shauna lead this raid herself?
She has not left the Hidden Valley since the fall of the Inca.
But that would make her over 400 years old.
That is true.
I hope Jeff gets along with older women.
Episode 4 is my next top 3. The Ghost Vikings. A Ghost Viking ship emerges off the coast of Norway. The crew plan to steal the riches of the world before returning to their own time. Spider-Woman travels back to AD 952 to defeat them. I can't even read these without like cracking up. It's just the most plain description of exactly what happened, and it's still hysterical. Like it's beyond me. And I'm pretty sure halfway through the episode, they reveal that the Ghost Vikings are actually aliens. So I'm like, are they Vikings, are they ghosts, or are they aliens?
The ghost Viking aliens.
That's the whole bit of Spider-Woman. Is halfway through the episode, whatever you thought you were facing, it's aliens.
Yeah, I don't know why they went with such a extraterrestrial theme with Spider-Woman.
Absolutely insane. And I love that every single episode of, like, at least so far, this is the first 4 episodes, it involves a world-level threat.
Yeah.
And Spider-Woman is on the job.
Oh, bro, trust me, I'm going to go into it in another episode. Some of this, like, it makes no sense about how fast she travels. And
and we established in episode 1 that this is a world where Spider-Man exists.
Yeah.
So why is he never helping?
No.
The world is being threatened.
Just twice.
It's insane. I love it. No logic whatsoever.
You good on your second one?
Yes.
Okay,
That's
so
number 2.
going into
we share the next one, I believe.
yeah,
right?
my next one is episode 5.
Yes.
The Kingpin strikes again.
That's my third one. And that's in my top 3.
I'm glad that we could agree on it, so we'll both go into
fantastic.
it. But let me. So the
God, at the same time.
The Kingpin.
Are you not reading the same one I am?
No.
Oh, read it off the wiki.
Oh, no, I think that's too long. I'd have to, like, pull it up and stuff. Let me just read this real quick.
All right.
The Kingpin steals an invisible ray and seeks revenge on Jessica Drew for writing a negative article about him.
It's just ridiculous. She writes a bad review. Like, what the fuck?
She basically calls him a dick over a newspaper, and he's bullshit. He wants her blood. I have to say, after butchering Dormammu in episode 2, it was nice to see them somewhat get the hang of a real Marvel villain.
I can't even believe you just said that, because, like, the next line you're going to say is how he starts using invisibility, which he's never done. He's the goddamn Kingpin. If he wants to beat up a woman, he can either do that himself or send a gang of mobsters to, like, break her fucking legs. Like, there's no reason for him to himself turn
in the
invisible.
episode, she makes quick work of his, like, mobsters that he has.
Of course.
Yeah,
like,
always.
Yeah. I don't know. The whole thing's ridiculous.
But so it was cool to see them get the hang of a real Marvel villain. After all, he was able to figure out that Jessica is Spider-Woman, or Spider Lady, as he likes to to call her.
Which is a way better name, by the way.
Oh yeah, for sure. As he so lovingly calls it. But not only that, he also reveals her identity on television for the world to see. Yes. So that kind of adds like a real...
Within the first 5 minutes of the episode.
Yeah.
This episode just like barrels through plot.
Yeah. It is funny.
Speeds.
It is funny in the very first scene that we see the Kingpin, the very first scene of the episode, Kingpin is explaining to his goons how they are about to rob the bank. But then he viciously bites into a ginormous stick of celery. And I
forgot about that.
For all throughout the episode, Kingpin is eating different food types. And at first...
Isn't it all veggies, though?
No, at first it seems like it is, right? He's eating celeries, he's eating apples. I'm like, oh, good for him. He's kind of working on his weight. But then he starts fucking pulling out fried chicken, drumsticks, and pieces of pie. And I'm like, oh, he didn't learn a fucking thing.
I like that it gets progressively worse. Like, as if it was supposed to ramp up.
Like, as his plot is, as like his plan is coming more together, he's eating more and more.
It's the angrier he gets. That's what it is. It's a comfort thing. When he's calm, he's like, all right, I'll have my celery. I'm doing good. And then he gets angry and he's like, where's my chicken?
And one of my favorite quotes from Kingpin is early in the episode where he is robbing the bank and randomly out of nowhere, Spider-Woman comes in, but Kingpin is standing there eating an apple and he goes, robbing banks is getting too easy. It's almost criminal. And then she like swings in. She goes, you know what is criminal? You, and you're going away.
You know what would have been a little bit funnier is she said, you know what is criminal? Robbing banks. Like, what the fuck?
I forget I'll play the clip of that quote too, but it's so funny.
Robbing banks is getting so easy. It's almost criminal.
Speaking of criminals, Kingpin, your little crime spree is over.
Whatever you say, Spider Lady.
Spider-Woman also has a great line. When she shows up in the middle of the heist, Kingpin tells his goon, "Give her the cash." To which the goon then throws giant bags of money at her, and she creates a spider web, and it ricochets the bag of gold back at the goon, while she states, "I'm afraid I'm going to have to bounce your check."
Give her the cash, Bowser.
Sure, boss.
I'm afraid I'll have to bounce your check.
The puns in this episode in this series are just incredible. I love it.
Yeah, so why don't you talk about some of your little fun favorite moments of that episode?
The invisibility ray is just the absolute most incredible thing. He steals an invisibility ray, and instead of using it to do any of the millions of things that Kingpin would do with an invisibility ray, all of which would be bad, he decides to turn invisible and like sneak into Jessica Drew's office.
Yeah,
or some
and
shit.
It's weird because like this is a hands-on Kingpin that we're not really used to. We're used to him sending his lackeys, but like
he's a kingpin.
Yeah, but this time he just goes along with the lackeys.
That's why I'm like, how are you saying that they got this anywhere near right? He does nothing that Kingpin ever does, and then he uses an invisibility ray on himself.
I could see,
he
but
just
no,
does a gangster thing.
Yeah,
like,
but you have to remember,
you just talk like this, and then you got Kingpin right, huh, Spider Lady?
Like this is the 70s, so like Spider-Man's only been around for about 10, 13 years or something like that. So they themselves, I don't think, established that like
16 years.
Yeah. I don't think they like have like
at least. No, maybe I'm counting wrong.
Like they don't have that 80s to 90s Kingpin who's like ruthless in the white suit, and he's like this giant like ball of muscle and fat, and he could crush you in his hands at the same time. So, you know, I think it's very much like a goofy, like Lex Luthor of the 60s and 70s.
Maybe you're right.
Yeah, I still think they did an okay job. It's way better than Dormammu. If you have to compare the two episodes that show the actual Marvel villains, I was more of a fan of Kingpin.
Yeah, I'd like to forget that the Dormammu one happened.
Yeah. He doesn't even look like Dormammu. It's just not good. It's not a good episode.
Yeah, we were discussing earlier that these episodes fall into either bad or funny bad.
Oh yeah, no, in the whole series, bad or funny bad. And so bad.
I love
it's funny.
the ones that are funny bad.
Yeah,
that's why I gave it an A- because I really freaking love it. It's hysterical.
Oh man, and my final episode is gonna be. Is definitely one of the ones I find the funniest, but I'll let you go into your third and final episode first.
This was it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's
so
right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So then here I go into my final episode. It is episode 10, Dracula's Revenge. Dracula returns from the grave and recruits the Frankenstein monster and the Wolfman to help him turn all of humanity into Frankenstein monsters, werewolves, and vampires. It's pretty funny because like they don't bite a single person. They all have like some form of lasers. Frankenstein shoots lasers out of the bolts in his necks, and it transforms people into Frankensteins. The Wolfman shoots lasers out his eyes, which then turn people into wolfmen. And Dracula shoots.
Sorry.
Picture. I mean, it's a cool concept.
I'm trying to look up something else for my next thing that I'm going to say, and I didn't quite catch that until afterwards, and it made me double take. I'm like, wait, what? Excuse me?
Laser vision werewolf. Just picture that. Kind of a badass premise, but also it's super lame because like they don't bite a single person. They all just have projectiles, and Dracula shoots blasts from his hands that turns people into vampires.
That's
so like
incredible.
None of them actually maul anybody. Just to give you guys a little thing, 2 grave robbers break into the tomb of Dracula, opening his coffin and freeing him from a 500-year imprisonment. Just before Drac can eat his 2 new victims, Spider-Woman randomly appears out of nowhere and saves the day. Now,
Yeah.
I know you could say,
I'm
like,
following.
her spider vision maybe gave her warning, but
No, it was spider telepathy. The spiders in the cemetery, they all left and went and found her and went, hey, we need your help.
across the world.
Like Navi.
Though Drac gets away, Spider-Woman mentions she's got to get back before she's late for a date, which turns out to be going to see a movie called The Alien Spider with Billy and Jeff. What's funny to me is how the fuck did she get back there so fast?
Yeah.
She was late for a date, and she clearly must have been, it was the tomb of Dracula, so it has to be in Romania.
Pennsylvania. In this version. Or, not Transylvania, it's Pennsylvania. She
Romania.
just hopped on a train. It's
Pennsylvania,
like,
Romania.
yeah.
But they actually,
Well, Transylvania. Pennsylvania.
they call it Romania in the episode.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
So they, It's
They-
going to be hard to get back from Romania.
So, but what's even funnier,
Well, with her spider flight, can she fly over oceans? Like, how long does her spider flight go for?
it doesn't seem like that long. If anything, it seems like she more glides with
But
the
she
wind.
doesn't have speed.
No.
Yeah, so it's going to be a long flight.
And in the what
Cold,
they
too.
they make it seem like the magazine helicopter is their main. They call it a jet copter, but it's like
Yeah.
their main form of.
Transportation.
But it just looks like a normal helicopter. There's
Yeah.
no jet, nothing. It doesn't show that it goes super fast. So my main thing is, so she went there, got back. They went to the movies, and she's like, "Oh no, I don't want to see it. It's a scary movie." And they're like, "Oh, Aunt Jessica, come on, like don't be so scared. It's not that bad."
I love Billy.
She gets up in the middle of the movie because she has another vision that Dracula, who she let go, is still out there. Why did you come all the way back to the United States if you knew Dracula was still out and about in Romania?
She didn't have that vision. She needed to have that vision first.
But he got away. She knew she let him get away. And, like, you wouldn't chase him down? You wouldn't try and find him? You didn't think he was going to go kill somebody?
So yeah, that'll be fine. That'll work itself out.
So she goes and fights Dracula again because Dracula goes to his old castle, which the Van Helsing family has been living in since he disappeared for 500 years. So the first thing he does, he shows up, turns Van Helsing into a vampire. Turns everyone who's sitting at the dinner table into a vampire. Spider-Woman shows up and she shoots her like venom blast, and it's supposed to be bright enough that it upsets Dracula, who then flies away, and everyone kind of turns back into
Like it makes him sad.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, it's so bright," and then he like jumps out the window.
Perfectly normal reaction to have.
But get this, she gets back in time for the end of the movie.
How long is that movie?
Like Jeff and
Turns out it was a movie marathon. It was all day.
Well, Jeff and Billy come out and they're like, "Aunt Jessica, I knew that movie was too scary for you." And she's like standing right outside. She's like, "Haha, you caught me. It's
So
way
funny.
too scary for me. It's such a dainty little girl."
Well, she's also got spider teleportation. Did she not mention that?
I'm starting to think that might be a thing because her powers range from many fucking things, which I'm about to
Just
go
gotta put
into.
spider on in front of it. Can I say one thing quick?
Please do.
When you were talking about the vampires and werewolves not biting anyone, that just reminded me of all the stuff with the Comics Code Authority.
Oh, yeah.
And to remind the listeners, if they didn't know, the Comics Code Authority, which regulated comics from the 50s into the 70s, was updated a lot in 1971, and that's when they finally were allowed to actually use Dracula and well, not just Dracula, because they were always allowed to use just Dracula, but other vampires. So they're allowed to use vampires and werewolves again, like 8 years ago from when this was made in the comics.
Got you.
Just a funny little time, like to put us in the same time area. You know what I mean?
I will say that the Wolf Man, and they do call him the Wolf Man,
Wolfman.
not a werewolf. He does look like Werewolf by Night Wolf.
Well, allow me to make 2 more points then.
Please do.
The Wolfman brings me to this entirely weird thing that I happened upon when I was scrolling through the Comics Code Authority page on Wikipedia. Marv Wolfman his name was once a point of contention between DC Comics and the Comics Code because it said Wolfman on the front of in the comic books. It says Wolfman on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
That's not okay.
Yeah.
That's his name. Excuse me?
And he's a phenomenal comic book writer.
Yeah, and I'm imagining that the reason that they weren't allowed to put biting and stuff like that into the episode was because of similar rules from similar organizations.
Yeah,
for TV,
especially for TV.
which I don't know all about the inner workings of that. I'd love to learn more about it, but I do know that that's the same reason that Herbie exists, is because they couldn't have Human Torch because that was too violent.
Yeah, because he was on
His
fire.
existence was too violent.
Yeah.
And originally in the Fantastic Four, Stan Lee got in trouble with the Comics Code about Human Torch specifically, and they basically made the like rule out was that he can be in the comics, but he can't burn anyone with his flames.
Yeah, henceforth all the fire cages and stuff that we talked about in the last one, or inflaming his fist just to fly up and punch someone.
Yeah. Did we mention that in the last one?
We did.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
It's the first thing.
If anything, I consider this episode a sister episode to the Spider-Man.
So go check out the Spider-Man 1981 episode.
Please.
Did we mention that we did a Spider-Man 1981 episode? This is a podcast.
Some silly writing, but Dracula at one point states he's going to turn Spider-Woman into one of his minions, which Jessica then replies, "Being part spider is challenging enough. I have no intention of being part vampire also." But Jessica is not part spider. She's not part spider at all.
Oh, yes, she is.
You were the one who said that she wasn't. We've had this talk before, Andrew. You're flipping your story now.
She's more spider than Spider-Man is, though. Spider-Woman, the webs come out of her actual body. Spider-Man has an attachment that goes on his wrist.
True.
She literally shoots webs from her fingers. She's so much more spider than
fingertips. Yeah, I don't know if it actually leaves the body or if it's like a blast that turns solid into a webbing. Because it kind of has like a glowiness to it.
Yeah, it almost looks like she shoots like a single rope and then it ends, but it can do stuff too.
Yes.
Like it can wrap them up after it gets sent out of her. It's definitely weird.
Yeah, it's like, and then you hear that whip.
Yeah. I very much am a fan of all of her weird powers.
What's funny is that she actually does become part vampire in the episode. Not only does she become vampire,
awesome.
She becomes part werewolf and vampire at the same time. And
half shark, alligator, half man.
Dude, and it makes no sense. So she's like, I can feel myself like becoming evil and like letting it take over, but because of the serum, I'm able to fight it back faster than a normal human. So she finds
Spider serum number 34.
She finds a random lab and starts fucking around with chemistry sets like she knows what she's doing and creates a cure for herself.
Her father's a chemist, so that means she knows everything her father
Clearly,
knows.
she just inherited it because she like literally took a couple of tubes, was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense, drank it, and then it just cured her. And that's how she was able to stop being
This is
a
why
werewolf.
We need the Spider-Girl prequel series to answer questions like
Spider-Girl, yeah.
How did she learn chemistry? When did she learn chemistry?
My favorite thing is that she beats the Wolfman by
Marv Wolfman? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, she beats him to death. She didn't like his work on the Titans. No, so she beats the Wolfman. He's like going around the park and he's turning everyone into wolf men and women, and she shows up and is like, take a blast of my spider. She's like, I know. Oh, okay. So I'm going like a full ADHD moment. She does her research. She goes to a library, pulls out the books.
Which you clearly didn't. I'm just kidding.
She pulls out the books of Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Wolfman. And it's supposed to be implied that she read all the books to learn their weaknesses. So she like read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein to learn how to beat Frankenstein. And
meanwhile, Van Helsing's over there reading Spider-Woman.
So she shows up. The park is full of these werewolves, and she says out loud to herself, as these heroes usually do, I know what's going to stop him. I read in the book that it's the moon that controls their transformation. I'm going to do a spider eclipse. And she shoots like a venom blast out her fingers, but what it creates is like a dark cloud that covers over the moon.
Following you.
So now she has the powers of storm, I guess.
Of course, she's
Yeah.
always had that.
Spider-Woman, everyone.
Yeah.
Marvel's first woman.
Yeah, she just spider eclipses.
Spider lady.
Every day.
And just fucking beats though. That's it. He's just defeated. I forget what she does. She like shoots some kind of ray at Frankenstein's nails in his neck, and it like absorbs all the energy that was put in him, so he transforms back to normal. And then
back to normal? What do you mean?
Oh, sorry, the people that he was transforming.
Oh, okay.
So she
like
beats Frankenstein.
Becomes a human again.
She beats the Wolfman.
Back to life?
Yeah. No, they like thawed Frankenstein's monster out. So she beats Frankenstein, beats the Wolfman. Now it's up for Dracula. And the way she beats Dracula is they fight next to a windmill, and she shoots her venom blast against the blades of the windmill, which causes it to move super fast, and it replicates the sun, which does not even beat Dracula. Dracula does not die. It scares him back into his coffin, and he himself goes into the coffin and closes the coffin because he was so scared of the sun.
So what's going to happen tomorrow night when Spider-Woman is on her date in the movies is she's going to have a vision of Dracula on the loose in Romania. And she's going to run onto the scene.
It's like... I'm assuming it's like once the cover hits the top of the coffin, like the top of the coffin hits the bottom, he's quote-unquote trapped. But there's nothing that's like...
That's his bed.
Yeah.
That's just he's taking a nap.
My favorite is when the two grave robbers in the beginning break in, and one's obviously, hey, maybe we shouldn't be doing this, and the other one's like, shut the fuck up. This is like, imagine all the money people are gonna want. We found the tomb of Dracula, so they push the cover off, and Dracula just stares at them like, and they're like, oh, he's alive.
Fair enough.
We're rich. People will pay millions of dollars to see the tomb of Count Dracula. Let's open it. It's him! Count Dracula! He's alive! Let's get out of here! At last, I'm free after 500 years.
Good
They
episode.
established that as the way to kill him, at least, is close the casket.
Yeah,
coffin.
or get him to do it himself.
Yeah,
I really feel like she didn't beat him.
Spider-Woman can definitely scare Dracula. This is something we know.
Yeah.
Dracula doesn't scare Spider-Woman. Spider-Woman scares Dracula.
Yeah,
Okay,
honestly,
okay.
Dracula probably would have whooped Spider-Woman's ass. He was kind of
eclipses.
doing it the entire episode until she...
The spider eclipse is actually a cloud of tiny little baby spiders that are flying. That's what it is.
Oh, with little
She
little
shoots
webbing
spiders
parachutes
out of her fingers.
Oh, okay. That's go my babies, and
Yes.
she's controlling them.
This is clouds of spiders that envelop the moon.
You know, Santi would lose his fucking shit.
Can you imagine though if there was a cloud of baby spiders
Just
moving
falling?
towards you?
Yeah, I'm sure that has to happen. Of still, like, imagine just like a spider's egg, like breaking on your face or something,
Oh
and
my
freaking out. You're like, I'm getting too nervous now just
exactly.
talking
I think
about
we
it
should
as
stop.
a joke. I do think that this Dracula's Revenge episode is cool because we are in our spooky season now, and it's a cool way to bring in the spooky season.
And it's a great way to stay in shape.
And it's a great way to stay in shape. I want to say, Andrew, thank you very much for doing another episode. I had a lot of fun with this one.
I know you did.
What now? I guess we really need to talk about it. If we're continuing with our trip through Marvel, do we do Spider-Man?
Fantastic Four.
You want to do
Definitely.
Fantastic Four?
Yeah,
without a
for
doubt.
sure.
Okay.
And then on to, because I know that one.
I'm just surprised you don't want to do the Hulk series because there's
see
two
Herbie.
Hulks. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but what, is there a Hulk from Freeling to Patties?
It's more the 80s Hulk is connected to the 81 Spider-Man series, not the 79 Spider-Woman.
But is it the same company that does it?
Well, remember they shut
got
down,
bought out.
Yeah, and then they became Marvel Productions.
Okay.
So Marvel Productions does Spider-Man, His Amazing Friends, The Incredible Hulk, and the 1981 Spider-Man with that, like, each series looks like the animation gets slightly better.
Gotcha.
Because that Incredible Hulk animation actually looks really good.
Fair enough.
I was watching the intro and everything. It looks pretty spot on.
I think I watched like is there like a 90s series?
I loved the 90s series.
I watched the first couple episodes of that, and it's like very faithful to the like
wicked.
comics.
It's very every little thing they do the entire, and that was my introduction into Hulk. Was
really?
was
That's a
that
good
90s
introduction.
series?
I mean, fair.
I know who the leader is. I know who Gargoyle, his little like a
Yeah.
minion is.
Yep.
That Hulk series is great. In fact, I was just watching the crossover they do with the Fantastic Four.
Sure.
Because there was a fantastic,
So there was a Fantastic Four series in the 90s too.
Yeah, it all started with the Fantastic Four.
Huh.
Actually, I think it started with X-Men.
Just like in the 60s, it
Yeah.
all started with the Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
and now me and you do a podcast in our basement, or my basement.
Different people's basements at different moments. Well, I was in the move.
Sometimes mine, sometimes yours.
Yeah.
Sometimes Tony's butthole.
That's what we call his basement.
We're gonna take that
out. Before you go, remember the three
Easy,
golden
big
rules.
fella.
Remember the three golden rules.
Three golden rules.
Fight the planet.
Fight the planet. Fight the planet.
Keep polluting.
Always eat ass.
And always eat ass. Thank you so much.
Spider-Woman travels back to AD 952 to defeat them. I can't even read these without like cracking up. It's just the most plain description of exactly what happened, and it's still hysterical.